Beautiful people, hello, welcome to another live stream. I know it's been a minute. It's been since Easter, I believe. I missed you guys. I missed you guys so much. I took a few days kind of to myself. I've been working. I'm getting into gardening, believe it or not. I'm getting into gardening, and I've had a lot of fun with that. Um, it's been a pretty big process because I don't really have the suitable place to garden because it was all grown over and pretty much neglected for like the better part of 10 years. So it's took me a while to kind of rebuild, clear out, and get that going. But I've had a lot of fun with it. Planned on coming back with another stream yesterday, or the day before rather, and then started having some stomach issues, so I took another few days to let that kind of settle down, and I feel pretty good today. So I figured, you know what? Let's get a stream in. Let's do a stream. Today we're going to be talking about what is true acceptance. So many people out there obsessed about what acceptance is, obsessed about what it means to truly accept, right? Obsessed about Dr. Claire Weeks and second fear and acceptance and recovery. Just totally obsessed about recovery itself and the word acceptance, right? So today I kind of want to do a stream just to put it as straightforward, which we always try to be straightforward, but I really want to try to put what true acceptance is as simple and as straightforward, as to the point as possible. So that's what we're going to be doing. It's good to see you guys. Sky, aka Stud Muffin, what is up, dude? Sanchez, my boy, how you doing? Nicole, welcome. Good to see you, Wonder Bro. It's good to see you, Sanchez. It's good to see all of you lovely people. Finally caught a live. What is up, Amanda? Welcome to the live. welcome, Sanchez. We got your sign going. You can actually see it. Shout out to Darcy. I appreciate you for the new camera. It's a lot better. Let's see. Before we get going, let's get everything pulled up on my end. Hi, Wonder Bro. Hello, Edward. How you doing, dude? Welcome. Much gratitude for you. Thank you, Arlene. How are you doing? Welcome. JT, welcome. Good to see all you guys. Some pancakes. Some pancakes do sound good right about now. Actually, nah. I'm going to have to pass on the pancakes right now. It's been a really hot and sticky day, like in the 80s, right? So I don't know if pancakes would sit right with me right now. All right, beautiful people. We've got a chat full. We might as well go ahead and get started. Sensitization. What is true acceptance? So as I said, it is becoming not becoming, but always kind of has been a reoccurring theme to obsess about, and I'm trying to find the right words, to obsess about what acceptance really is. Like it's becoming, or like I said, it already has been a reoccurring theme for a lot of people to obsess about what it truly means to accept, what recovery means, what Dr. Claire Weeks was talking about, second fear, so you get into the heat of the moment with your anxiety, right? And I want a show of hands here. How many people can relate? You get into the heat of the moment with your anxiety, right? So you're experiencing a ton of anxiety symptoms, physically and mentally. And let me raise up a little bit. There we go. And in your mind, you're trying to run through all the different possibilities of what acceptance means. Okay, I know I'm supposed to accept this. What do I do? What is true acceptance? What do I do with this thought? And Wonder Bro said this, and here's these physical symptoms. What do I do with that? Right? So it's a reoccurring theme to obsess about what acceptance is, which ironically enough just keeps you stuck, right? Obsessing about what acceptance is a form of second fear. You are trying to figure out and map out acceptance to a perfect equation in order to get rid of your anxiety symptoms and intrusive thoughts. If I could only figure out what true acceptance was, then I could get rid of these thoughts and feelings. Wrong, right? That is not true acceptance in itself. True acceptance in itself is not and never will be, what can I do in this moment involving acceptance to make these thoughts and feelings go away. That is not acceptance. We're not even close. We're not even remotely close to true acceptance if you're asking yourself the question, what can I do in this moment? Maybe if I use acceptance, I can stop this thought, and I can stop this feeling, right? So if that is kind of your thought process, if that is kind of your mindset, then we're not even remotely close in the ballpark of what true acceptance is. Here is what true acceptance is, putting it as straightforward as possible, right? As simple and no bullshit, as straightforward as possible. True acceptance is this: no more questions. True acceptance is no more questions. So the next time you're experiencing an intrusive thought, no matter how intense, the next time you're experiencing anxiety symptoms or even panic, no matter how intense, true acceptance is no more questions. You're not questioning yourself in the moment. You're not questioning, how do I use acceptance in the moment? You're not questioning what to do, how to do it. There's no more questions with true acceptance. True acceptance is a simple reminder to yourself in the heat of the moment that I will allow the moment to be exactly as it wants to be. End of story. Now, those thoughts are there. Those feelings are there. If you are guilty of asking yourself, what do I do here? How do I apply acceptance to make this go away? Right? We're off track. We're not even in the ballpark of acceptance if that's the mindset, right? So if you want to start to touch on what true acceptance really is, true acceptance, as true and to the point as you can get with acceptance, if you want to experience true acceptance, the next time you're experiencing physical symptoms or intrusive thoughts, there can be no more questioning. Oh, what do I do? How do I make this go away? How do I apply acceptance here? Am I doing this right? Drop all the questions and allow the moment to be exactly as it wants to be while you carry on doing your thing. The anxiety is doing its thing and you're doing your thing. End of story. No more questions to yourself, because what I see is a lot of people, and I was very much guilty of this, a lot of people latch on to this idea of acceptance, and then they obsess about acceptance itself. They start to run around in their heads about what acceptance means. If you're doing that, we're not close to acceptance. There needs to come a point where you realize that true acceptance is nothing more than a complete surrender to what is while you get on with whatever it is you were doing, right? So there's no more saying, how can I stop these thoughts? There's no more saying, how can I stop these feelings? There's no more saying, how do I truly use acceptance in order to make this go away, right? All of that's got to go. True acceptance is a to the point, it is what it is attitude. So next time you catch yourself with a ton of intrusive thoughts or physical symptoms, and I know they can be intense, but next time you catch yourself in that moment, you have to end all questions. All questioning has to come to an end. There can be a bunch of questions that you're entertaining in your mind about what to do here and what to do. What do I do with this thought? And no, it is what it is. Right? So the thought is there, it's bugging the hell out of you, it's really loud, it's really sticky. You just keep coming back to those words. It is what it is. The feeling is there, it's very intense, it's making you want to crawl out of your own skin, it's making you want to jump out of your seat, right? But you keep coming back to those words. It is what it is. I accept the experience as it is without trying to alter, change, fight it, or do anything with it. So, like I said, I see that happen all the time. You learn about acceptance, and honestly, this is probably just a normal part of the experience at this point for a lot of people. They learn about acceptance sounds great, and the next time they feel anxious or have these intrusive thoughts, they're up in their head a bunch of obsession about what acceptance is, right? So you've really just traded one obsession for another. It's good that you're on the accepting track. This is where a lot of people start. But eventually, we have to get to a point where you have the it is what it is attitude. Now, that is true acceptance. True acceptance is not trying to figure this out or trying to figure that out, or, okay, I'm using acceptance, when does it go away? Okay, I'm using acceptance, but that thought it won't go away. I must be doing something wrong. Okay, I'm using acceptance, but the feelings are still there. Okay, I must be doing something wrong. None of this is acceptance, right? This is just more mental circles, more round and round and round we go None of that is anywhere remotely close to true acceptance. Now, you're on the right track, but if you want to get to the meat and potatoes of what true acceptance is, it is an attitude of, okay, my experience is the way it is right now, okay, right? There's no more trying to figure it out. There's no more trying to fight anything away. There's no more trying to change anything. There's no more trying to alter anything. There's no more running around your head, oh God, how do I use the perfect acceptance in order to make this go away? That's just more mental runaround. That's just more second fear. That's second fear in a sneaky form, right? You think to yourself, well, Wonder Bro, how can we use acceptance if I can't figure out what true acceptance is? You must understand that true acceptance is just to say it is what it is, right? So the longer you spend convincing yourself that you can't use true acceptance because you don't know what true acceptance is, you're just entertaining more second fear. You're just entertaining more obsession. You're just in your head trying to figure out this grand solution so that you can make it all go away. And that's just more second fear, right? So true acceptance is the, okay, my experience is what it is currently, and that is what it is. There's no more trying to, what do I do in this situation? What do I do with this particular thought? What do I do with this particular feeling? What did Wonder Bro say 2 years ago and 3 days ago? There's no more of that. It's a simple, my experience is what it is. That thought is there. That feeling is there. And that's just what it is, right? You keep coming back to that attitude. That's just what it is, right? Now, you might notice that you do tend to slip off into obsession from time to time, and that's okay because you don't have to be perfect. But you can catch that, and you can come back to the, okay, my experience is what it is attitude. And if you continue to repeat that, now you're starting to dabble in, now you're starting to get your hands in what true acceptance really is. A no more trying to figure out, a no more trying to solve, a no more questioning of the moment, right? No more questioning of the moment. This is my experience. This is my experience, right? Now you're starting to get into what true acceptance really is, because for the longest time, you were just kind of amazed by this thing called acceptance. It appeared to you to be some magical math problem that you had to figure out. Some people can use acceptance, but I can't. I need to figure out what the missing piece is. I don't have the key. I got to figure out what the missing piece is here. All of those questions are what's keeping you from true acceptance. True acceptance, right? Simply put, is fuck it. Fuck it. I just had that thought that said something bad's going to happen. Fuck it. I got this strong feeling that wakes me up when I try to sleep, and, well, fuck it, right? I got this physical symptom and of anxiety, and it's causing me all the, well, fuck it, right? I got this thought that says if you don't do this compulsion, something bad, well, fuck it, right? There's nothing for you to do. The problem is you are trying to use your thinking mind to solve your anxiety, and you will never solve it. You will never solve it trying to use your thinking mind, because the only thing you can do with anxiety when it comes to your thinking mind is add to the fire. You can't take away from it using your thinking mind, right? So true acceptance comes to the point where you realize that nothing you can do with your thinking mind is going to just remove those thoughts and feelings. That has to come with healing. Healing comes when you realize that the only thing you can do with your thinking mind is add to the fire. You can't take away from the fire using your thinking mind. So you get the thinking mind into an attitude of it is what it is, and you leave all that other unnecessary negative second fear thinking to the side, and you keep coming back to just keeping your thinking mind with the it is what it is attitude. You allow the amygdala to see the experience for what it is, and then it eventually learns that the anxiety is not needed. You cannot take away from the fire using your thinking mind, which is what you're trying to do every time you try to solve and figure out. You can't take away from the fire using your thinking mind. You can only add to it, and that's what you're doing. You're continuing to add to it and add to it and add to it. All right? So all this, guys, has got to come to an end. The questioning has got to come to an end. The trying to solve has got to come to an end. The figuring out has got to come to an end. You're not going to put out the fire using your mind. You're only going to add to it. True acceptance, right, is not trying to figure anything out. It's just saying, okay, it is what it is, right? That is true acceptance. Now, if you are guilty of being up here trying to figure out what acceptance is, understand that that in itself is keeping you from what true acceptance is. All right, you guys? So, with that being said, good return stream. I missed you guys so much. I hope you did enjoy today's stream. If you did, make sure you leave a big thumbs up. I got to start remembering the point over here now. I would really appreciate it. Also, I know the camera needs to like be tilted a little bit because I'm like really down here. It's just kind of difficult with where it's at. I'll try to figure out a solution to that. But anyway, if you did enjoy today's stream, like I said, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. There is nothing to figure out, solve, or obsess about when it comes to true acceptance. True acceptance is a simple it is what it is attitude, and that's something you've got to practice. You must drop that obsession every chance that you get. Work on that. All right, you guys? Let's switch. Oh, we still got Claire. We still got Claire on the screen. I can't speak today from Easter. Let's go ahead and get us some music going. We're going to hang out with chat a little bit like we always do. See what you guys are up to. Where are we at? There we go. All right. All right, let's get us some music going. I should have brought a drink with me before I started the stream. I totally forgot. All right. Let's see. All right. Also, I am trying to get caught up on comments, by the way. It has been a few days. I'm talking about the comments that come after the stream, by the way. Let's see. Pooty, I must have missed you, dude. How you doing, Pooty? Hope you're doing great, dude. All right, let's see. I'm going to scroll up a little bit. I'm so afraid to fall asleep anymore, and this keeps me awake. How can we accept to not sleep when we feel and look so tired? The next day, I have difficulties to really accept that. So, again, you know, when we come back to what acceptance really is, we come back to the point, the main point of this stream. Let me turn this music down just a tad. That seems kind of loud. The main point of this stream, and really any stream where we talk about acceptance, is that you cannot figure things out or solve your anxiety using your thinking mind, right? So you can only add to the fire, you can't take away from it. So let's say, for example, you have difficulties falling asleep, right? Or maybe you're afraid to fall asleep, or whatever the case may be. Then you try to get up into your thinking mind, well, how can I deal with this? How can I solve this? And you're just adding to the fire. The anxiety is starting to get ramped up. You're starting to teach your brain that there's a danger where there's not, right? So you're trying to use your thinking mind to solve your issues, but you're actually creating them. Right? So that's the irony in the situation. And that's exactly what Dr. Claire Weeks meant by second fear. Second fear is all of that obsession and trying to figure out and solve and blah, blah, blah. And you do it for so long and so long. You never solve your issues. You only add to them. So you're setting the limbic system off, right? You're setting the amygdala off with all of that thinking that you're doing. So you're never going to solve your problems that way. You're only going to add to them. And as you add to them, you start to feel worse and worse. So you do more thinking. And this is the great cycle. You see the great cycle here. So people feel a certain upset way with their anxiety and their thoughts, so they get into their thinking mind and obsess and fight and try to solve, and that just sets the amygdala off more, and now they're starting to feel worse, so they start doing more obsession, right? It's a cycle. So, for example, you say, I'm afraid to not fall asleep anymore, and this keeps me awake. Okay, well, you say that, and then you get up in your head and you try to solve that. You're never going to solve it. You're only going to add to it, which is going to make the sleep even harder to come by, which is just going to stress you out even more. So do you see how true acceptance really comes down to the fact that you're no longer trying to fight or argue with any of these feelings or thoughts? You're just completely leaving them alone. Right? You're letting them do their thing, even though they're uncomfortable. But you come to the realization that you're no longer going to add to the fire, which is what you're doing with your thinking mind. You're just going to let the fire burn out instead, right? So you eventually have to come to a point where you're like, there is nothing I can do to think my way out of this. All this unnecessary obsession and thinking and fighting, what Dr. Claire Weeks called second fear, is just adding to my problem. And then once you stop adding to the problem will take care of itself. The nerves will start to heal, the mind will start to calm down, the body will start to calm down, sleep will return, triggers will start to no longer trigger you, you'll start to heal your nerves. All these beautiful, beautiful things start to truly happen when you get out of the way. And we did a stream entitled that once. It was a great stream. I believe it was entitled Get Out of Your Own Way, right? The body and mind wants to heal themselves, but you got to get out of the way. Let's see. That was a very long answer. F it also worked for me. I mean, if you wanna get down to what true acceptance really means, it does come down to a whole lot of fuck it, right? Feeling great, man. Accepting whatever it's about to lay off at my job. It's not even bugging me. I'm like, whatever. I don't care. It is what it is. I mean, that's what you got to do with those thoughts and feelings. Because again, you can only add to the fire with your mind. You can't take away from it. You can't take away from it, right? Yeah, you can't take away from it. It's really the big realization that people need to come to, is that, you're fighting a useless battle. You're fighting a pointless battle trying to use your mind to fight with your anxiety. You're never going to solve anything. You're never going to figure anything out, and you're certainly not going to put the fire out using your thinking mind, right? That is the whole problem at the end of the day. So eventually you got to come to that realization. You got to come to that conclusion and say, okay, nothing to figure out, nothing to solve. I'm just going to let this thing happen, right? And it'll take care of itself, because it will if you'll get out of the way. It will. It's only natural, right, to want to help yourself. Obviously, that's a pretty natural thing to want to do as a human being. The only problem is with anxiety, when you want to help yourself, you're just sitting around obsessing and adding what Dr. Claire Weeks called second fear. So that is the cycle. That is the problem. Absolutely, Mary. No problem whatsoever. I noticed the days where I'm worried more about how I'm going to sleep ends up being the nights I sleep worse. Exactly. There is great irony to be found in the anxiety cycle. And that's exactly why I wanted to do this stream. So I could just get everybody on this page where they're like, hey, there's nothing to figure out. There's nothing to solve. True acceptance is just pretty much an is what it is attitude. It is not a math equation. It is not something to figure out. That is the entire problem, is the figuring out. Kate, hello Kate, welcome. Absolutely, Lucy, that sounds like a great game plan to me. Shut down any worry as to why today was bad. And when you say bad, understand that you're going to have days where anxiety is high. That's supposed to happen, right? That's supposed to happen. You do not judge whether a day was quote-unquote good or bad based on how you feel. You judge a day, whether it was good or bad, based on how well you applied the acceptance and the non-worried attitude, right? That's what you need to judge a day on, not how bad you feel, because that's irrelevant. That's irrelevant. You need to feel bad, actually. Anxiety only learns when anxiety is turned on. So that's actually needed. That is actually needed. It doesn't make a day bad whatsoever. What would you say to someone who is having a hard accepting the symptoms of anxiety and DR first time here? So I would recommend that you watch some of our back to the basics streams, but you don't have to do that, because I'm gonna answer that for you if you're new here. So a hard time accepting the symptoms of anxiety and DR. When you say that, that makes my mind go to one thing. If you're having difficulty accepting the symptoms of anxiety, that probably means you're having difficulty with what you're telling yourself about the anxiety. So next time you're experiencing that, or if you're currently experiencing that, see what you're doing up in your head. Look up there. Look up there for a second. What are you doing in your head? Are you obsessing? Oh God, I can't stand this. What do I do about this? I wish this would go away. This is so horrible. It's so awful. And what if this happens? If you're doing all that, if your conversation that you're having with yourself sounds anything like that, then you found the problem, and you have found why you're having difficulty, right? So anything going on in the head that is any sort of resistance and negativity, Dr. Claire Weeks called this second fear. So my advice to you would be, if you're having difficulty using acceptance, look up Look up for a second and see what you're telling yourself. What kind of conversations are you having with yourself? If it's obsession and worry and negativity, this is what needs to come to an end. You need to try to catch that. You need to tone that down a little bit. Try to practice being with the thoughts and the feelings without adding the negative inner voice, right? Ooh, that's a big one. Without adding the negative inner voice, and then you live your life. That is the two main keys: the accepting attitude, which means you're no longer mentally fighting with the thoughts and feelings, and living your life. That is the two main keys of the channel. So I hope that helps you out, Charles. Welcome to the channel, by the way. Number one, acceptance. Two, live your life. Yes, 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 yes. Beautiful, beautiful. I couldn't have said it any better myself. All right, one moment here. Let's see. All right. I remember a few years ago I said I was obsessed about premonition I had completely forgot about it, and I'm no longer afraid. I mean, what's that old saying, right? What's that old saying? What you give power to has power over you. What you give power to has power over you. Still remains true to this day, no matter how many, no matter how many years ago that you asked that question. Still remains true to this day. That is one good way to see it, Carissa. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. So you got pretty much just explained exactly what I've been doing. So if that resonated with you, if you're like, oh, okay, I see all that negativity I got going on in my head. If that rang any bells for you, then you have definitely found your issue. You have found the root issue, so to speak, that needs to be worked on. It's usually that's usually a realization that people don't make until later on. A lot of people do take in acceptance. They accept it as okay, this makes sense, sort of deal. But they're still not really holding themselves accountable for all of the mental second fear that they're adding. So that's not uncommon. A lot of people do get on the acceptance train, so to speak, and then make the realization that they're not using acceptance until later on. That's usually how that goes. So nothing out of the ordinary there. Learning the advice and taking in the information is one thing, but actually applying it is something that usually takes time and usually takes a lot of honesty with yourself, with oneself. What up, Wonder Bro? Been following your vids now for a couple months. It helps hard too. What's up, Ron? Welcome to the stream, dude. But I simply cannot ever have alcohol again. Probably a good decision, Sky. Probably a good decision. your long-term memory mixing up with your short-term memory happens a lot. I've never heard it put that way. Interesting. Interesting. Hey, I hope everyone had an amazing Easter. What'd you guys do for Easter? I don't really do anything specifically or special for Easter, but do you teach how to get rid of this stinking thinking I got going on? It's a lot more simple than it seems, but it takes a lot of practice, right? So without even having to watch those videos, unless you want to, I can tell you very quickly that it's all going to come down to catching yourself when you're doing it. That's the first step. And the second step is to remind yourself, hey, you know, it is what it is. It's like a slap on the wrist. Hey, you know, that thought's there. I'm going to allow it to be. It's the way that you speak to yourself. And I don't mean in an obsessed way. I just mean short, sweet, and simple. Just remind yourself, hey, I'm going to let that be there. I'm going to let this be. I'm going to see this through, right? It's all these little accepting ways of speaking to yourself instead of going the old second fear route. So you can definitely check out that playlist if you'd like to, but that's the short of it right there. I mean, that's really what it's going to come down to.
Donation.
Sanchez, thank you so much, dude. Sanchez, Negative Raid, Wonder Bros, scared you. You did scare me a little bit, but not as bad as you usually scare me, because I did turn the mic down a little bit for the music. So you almost got you half and half got me. Thank you so much, dude, for the $15 tip. I really appreciate you. Thank you, Sanchez. We're on a 129-day streak. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. You guys are amazing. You guys are awesome. Thank you, Sanchez. Show him some love, please. Show him some love in the chat. Did you ever get a therapist or psychologist? I was bedridden. I was pissing in 2-liter bottles at one point. So going to any sort of therapy or psychologist for me was not an option. I could barely make it to the toilet to take a shit. I was so scared. So yeah, that was just not an option for me. Getting any sort of therapy or a psychologist, yeah, unless they wanted to come to me bedside, was not going to happen. So I learned about acceptance and Dr. Claire Weeks, cutting out the negative, fearful, second fear type thinking, the it is what it is reminders, so to speak, cutting all that out and getting up and living my life little by little. I learned that myself and just really had to apply that myself. Because like I said, unless some sort of therapist was going to come to me bedside, that was not an option for me. So that was not an option for me. Of course, that was all self-inflicted. I realize that now. Nothing was doing that to me, and nothing will ever be doing that to you guys either. That is a result of completely frying the nervous system through all of the second fear thinking, from all of the negative, obsessed second fear thinking. Right? So it's completely self-inflicted. It's not some big bad monster that's coming to get you. You are the big bad monster. I hate to tell you. You are the big bad monster with your second fear thinking, right? No big monster exists outside of you. So it is your own bad habits that puts you in states like that. Of course, like I said, at the time, I was not aware of that, but I agree with that, Perp. I agree with that. Yeah, so that's a big one. That's a big one. Sometimes I tell my story about how sensitized I was and, how bad off I was, and people are like, "Oh, I'm so sorry that happened to you." Nothing happened to me. I happened to me. Nothing's happening to you. You're happening to you, right? I'm not denying that physical symptoms exist. I'm not denying that intrusive thoughts exist, but the fact that it's gotten so bad for you, right, like it did for me, is a result of your own choice. It is a result of your own choice of second fear type thinking, right, that continues to fry the nervous system. So, that habit is there, and you got to break that habit. If you can do that, you'll be well on your way. So you got to catch when you're doing that to yourself, and you got to remind yourself, hey, there's nothing to obsess about. There's nothing to worry about, right? I'm just going to let this be as it is. And of course, the experience can still be intense, right? But without all of that extra fuel from your second fear type thinking, you will start to heal. That is the whole point. So, you know, um, I hate it when I share my story and people are like, "Oh, I'm so sorry that happened to you." Nothing happened to me. I happened to me. My own bad habits happened to me. That's what happened to me. So I always like to clarify that, because anytime you're kind of like in the victim mentality state where you're like, "Oh, big bad thing is happening to me," no, you're reflecting the responsibility, and you shouldn't be, right? Told my partner in about 3 years I see myself walking down a long corridor in which I think it cuts you off there a little bit. We'll wait for the rest of that. We will wait for the rest of that. I think the character limit is stupid on YouTube. Has to do with the new job. The facility I went to had the exact corridor and lighting system. So kind of like a facing your fear situation, sort of deal. Gotcha. Gotcha. I think it was Claire Weeks who actually said something along the same lines when they were interviewing her once. She was talking about experiencing panic attacks, and I believe it was the person that was doing the interview who was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry you have to experience that." And she like stopped him like mid-sentence, and she was like, "No, it's not something that you apologize for, right? It's not something that you view as a bad thing. It's not, because it's that sort of thinking that is fueling the fire." That's really what it is at the end of the day. Oh no, you're good, Sky. Chat it up, dude. Chat it up. It's always going to come down to what you tell yourself about the situation at hand. That's going to that's going to determine whether or not that fuel starts to get added or not. It doesn't mean necessarily that the situation still won't be intense, with the feelings and thoughts. It will be probably at times, but what's going to determine, what's going to be the difference maker is what you're telling yourself about it. And just because it's intense doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. As long as you're allowing the situation to be without all of that extra mental negativity, what Dr. Claire Weeks called second fear, then you're good. You're good. Let the situation be as intense as it wants to be. That's another kind of common little mistake that I see. A lot of people are like, oh, but it's still so intense. I must be doing something wrong. No, that would be treating acceptance like a pill, which doesn't work. It can be intense. As long as you're not adding to it mentally, it can be intense. And it probably will be from time to time, right? So don't fall into that like false belief that, oh, if you're using acceptance right, then it all just goes away right there, like the snap of your fingers. It just all goes away if you're using acceptance right. Now it takes time for the brain to learn. That doesn't mean acceptance won't take the edge off. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it takes the edge off a lot, right? But you can still experience intense symptoms and thoughts and be using acceptance, and that's the whole point. So, that's another little common, false belief that I see a lot. Okay, I've grabbed a few links here that I'm going to share out. So I did my usual stuff, and then at the mall I stumbled upon the word, a toy of Spider-Man villain named Carnage. Alright, I think I missed the other half of that, so I'm probably a little lost. Oh, today I will come across the word Carnage. Gotcha, okay. So we're talking about, I can't pronounce that word. Prepositions? Prepositions? Nah, that doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound right. I think I'm saying it wrong. Sometimes I get lost in my own chat. How does one accept being alone or someone that's afraid of being alone? So the really cool thing, right, this is kind of cool. The cool thing about acceptance is the advice never changes. The advice never changes, so it doesn't really matter what your specific fear is, right? Doesn't matter if it's being alone, doesn't matter if it's this, doesn't matter if it's that. Whatever triggers you, like everybody has different triggers. Whatever triggers you, it's going to come back to the same advice. So if you're ever asking yourself, what do I do about this specific trigger? Understand that the advice will never be different. So it's always going to be allowing the trigger to happen. So you're allowing, the thoughts and the feelings to happen, but you're not adding to them with a bunch of second fear type thinking. right? So sometimes people do get confused on that. I have different triggers than everybody else, but the solution will always be the same. So that's the good news there. I do have a lot of people kind of get caught up on that from time to time. Actively looking for things that are quite inevitable. That's a good way to put it. I am still working on Easter candy. We still got Easter candy that we're eating. Like everything egg-shaped. They start to make chocolate, everything egg-shaped. This is delicious. I honestly think that's like half the reason I experience stomach issues sometimes. And you can't go wrong with Reese's or Twix. Who doesn't love Easter candy? Alright, I'm done. I'm done. Self-control. Self-control. Speaking as a Reese's and Twix fan, I agree with every word you just said. It's amazing, and there's something oddly special about, I don't know, Easter candy. There's something special about it. It's the same thing, right? Technically, it's the same thing. It's the same candy. It's the same candy, but it's shaped like an egg, and I don't know. It's something special about it. Then again, I'm not too picky on chocolate. I'll eat just about any kind of chocolate. I have days that are super good, then I'll have a day or two that are pretty dismal. Ah, got it. Almost makes one feel they won't get better. So again, you definitely never, ever, 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 ever want to base whether or not a day is good or bad on your recovery journey on how you feel. When you start to base days on how you feel, whether or not it was a good day, you're way off track, right? So what you always want to remember, and what you always want to base your days off of, if you're going to judge them as good as, or good or bad, you want to make that judgment based on if, or, you were adding second fear, or if you weren't, right? That's what's going to determine a good or bad day. speaking in the terms of recovery, it's not going to be based on how intense your feelings were. It's not going to be based on whether you had intrusive thoughts or not. All of those things kind of need to happen, right? Because anxiety only learns while anxiety is turned on. So never base a day, whether it was good or bad, based on how you feel. You need that anxiety to be there because that's when that anxiety is going to learn. So base it on whether or not you used acceptance, right? Base it on whether or not, you used acceptance. And then again, I don't even think it's worth judging yourself too hard. As long as you're doing your best to practice, nobody's perfect. So I'm the only one who hit the like, but you have to refresh. I don't know why. You have to refresh to see like all the new likes. I think we're at 13, 12 right now. I do appreciate it though. I do appreciate all the likes. Yeah, I don't know why that is, but you typically have to refresh the stream if you want to see the updated like count. You would figure, that would be just kind of a live thing, but apparently not. YouTube logic.
Donation.
Kate, thank you so much, Kate. Thank you. I appreciate you. Can we give a big shout out in the chat to Sanchez and Kate? Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys. What does that put us at? 30? Thank you guys so much. Thank you. Hey, show some love. Show some love in the chat. It only takes a second. To show our tippers some love. Kate coming in with a $15 tip, even though I'm just sitting over here like trying to not chew loudly as I'm stuffing my face with Easter candy. Thank you so much, Kate. You the best. And you are. Usually don't judge the days. I forget about anxiety and feel normal most days, then a day or two will. Yeah, it's always best not to judge the days. And if you're gonna judge the days, right? Like if you absolutely feel the urge to judge the day, never judge the day based on how you feel. Judge the day based on how you accepted how you feel, right? So technically you could have a day where anxiety is super strong and you feel like absolute dog water, but you did a great job of, let's say, staying out of second fear. You were able to remind yourself, okay, let it happen. You didn't go the second fear route, right? I'm gonna choke to death if I keep eating this. You did not allow yourself to go the second fear route, and you had a somewhat productive day, even though you had very intensive feelings. We call that an awesome day. We don't call that a bad day because you felt intense. We call it an awesome day because you stayed out of second fear and you trained your brain. Right? So you see what we're getting at there? Make sure if you're going to judge your days that's how you're judging them. Personally, I would probably try to stay away from judgment altogether, but if you're absolutely going to, make sure that's how you're judging your days. No other way. And, if your brain says it won't get better, it'll get worse, you got to cut that out. If you allow yourself to go that route, you're going to go down a second fear path, right? So you could retract that and you could just say to yourself, this is when anxiety is going to learn the most. That's a little accepting reminder that you could give yourself. Any sort of talking yourself up instead of talking yourself down is needed, right? Hey, Wonder Bro, how you doing? Long time no see. I'm doing good, Red. How you doing? It has been a while. I am just chilling with chat, choking to death on Easter candy, and I'll regret it later, but that's okay. Dog water. Yeah, absolute dog water. Even if you felt like absolute dog water, it's okay as long as you used acceptance. Then we're winning and it was an awesome day. Like we always say here on the channel, we say this literally all the time because it's so important. Anxiety only learns while anxiety's turned on, so it's not a bad thing to feel like absolute dog water, right? It's not a bad thing at all. And you need to have that perspective because it's a motivating perspective to have. It is a motivating perspective to have. You see the difference there? So next time, instead of telling yourself, oh fuck, a false alarm, right? you should be saying to yourself, oh fuck, a false alarm. Nice. All right. This is when it's going to learn. This is when I can put in the work. By letting it be, letting it be. It's going to see. My brain is going to see, due to my nonchalant attitude towards this false alarm, no matter how intense it is. My brain's going to see me just riding the wave and being nonchalant about it to the best of my ability. My brain's going to see that this is indeed a false alarm, and that's great because that's what I want the brain to see. If I want to make progress, I need that. So, you can see the difference in perspective there. Don't get me wrong, I know it's super easy to go the route of, oh shit, never gonna get better, blah blah blah. You gotta catch all that and turn it into, okay, perfect opportunity here. I can score some major points today. You can see the difference in perspective there. One is acceptance and one is totally definitely not acceptance. About to change my name to Nick Nervous. I'm not good with remembering names, so fair warning, I will treat you like you are a new person, right? And you might have to be like, yo, Wonder Bro, it's me, Red Dog. I've been here for a while. It's just hard sometimes when the feelings are so intense, but makes sense. No, it is, and I'm not trying to like undercut anybody or throw anybody under the bus and say, hey, this stuff is so super easy, and I understand all that. It's not, right? So the false alarm is supposed to be super intense, right? It's trying to get your attention. It's trying to save you from a danger that doesn't technically exist, right? But it doesn't know that. So the false alarm is supposed to be super intense. And because of that, I know and I've experienced firsthand just how intense it can be. So all of that is true. But at the same time, the fact still remains that it is a false alarm and there's no call for it. There's no reason for it. And if you want to prove that to your brain, you've got to adopt a more chill attitude towards it, right? You've got to let that false alarm happen without so much negative mental activity going on that's just going to add gas to the fire. You instead got to adopt a more chill attitude and just let that play out without, poking the bear, so to speak. So yeah, don't get me wrong. I completely understand it's intense, but our facts still remain, right? You got to find that groove where you can just relax into the discomfort. Be comfortable in the discomfort and remind yourself to let it unfold. Let it unfold because no amount of worry or negativity is going to fix it. It is only going to add to it, right? That is true acceptance. It was a joke teasing that I'm always nervous. Hey, well, I'm just saying, if anyone here ever decides to change their name, inform me. You can inform me, but I'll probably still forget, and I'll treat you like a new person. I'm horrible with remembering names. I'm used to the ones we have now, though. Like, I could tell you everybody in here, but... Nervous Nick. Hopefully, Nervous Nick is applying that acceptance, right? Applying that acceptance. I should try that. Are you talking about the name change? Because if you're talking about the name change, I would probably see the little wrench beside your name and think, that must have been somebody that I made admin years ago and forgot. And that's probably how that would go. That's exactly how that would go, actually. That's exactly how that would go. man, makes sense. Been watching your videos for a couple months now. Appreciate that. They have helped. This is my first time catching you live. Thanks for answering some of the questions I've been struggling with. Absolutely, dude. No problem. No question is a dumb question as long as it gets you on board with acceptance. So, you know, like we were talking about earlier, a lot of people learn about acceptance, but then they just overthink what acceptance is. And that's not acceptance. It's all one big great irony, really. It's just so ironic. True acceptance is the void of any questioning, any trying to solve, any trying to figure out. It's completely void of any of that. True acceptance is truly and is what it is attitude. I just don't use that statement a whole lot because that sounds cliche, and people may not take my word, you know, they might take my words lightly if I say, oh, it is what it is. They think, oh, what does this guy know? You know, he's using that cliche statement. But no, if you want the truth, you know, I can dress it up and make it sound as pretty as anybody wants me to make it sound. But the truth is, at the end of the day, I mean, really, true acceptance is a fuck it attitude. It is a is what it is attitude. True acceptance is void of questions and trying to figure out and solve. None of that exists with true acceptance. So, you know, of course you gotta dress it up to make it sound fancy so people will actually listen to you and hear you out. But spoiler alert, at the end of the day, it really does come down to it is what it is. I'm having these thoughts. Well, it is what it is. I'm having these feelings. Well, it is what it is. I'm not trying to solve or figure out or worry about it or obsess about it. I mean, so yeah, I mean, that's what it's always going to come down to. Videos have helped a lot, and finally I have an opportunity to give you a shout out. Thank you. Absolutely, dude. That's why I do what I do. You know, I mean, for example, I believe somebody in chat earlier was talking about how they were kind of nervous for an upcoming event. So they could sit around and be really triggered about the thought of this upcoming event, and then they could try to use their thinking mind to figure that out and problem solve and worry and obsess. They're not actually going to solve anything or prove anything, or they're not actually going to get anywhere. They're just going to make it worse. And that's what happens. You make it worse and you start to feel worse, so you obsess more and then you feel even worse, and it's just this ongoing cycle where eventually you just have to say, fuck it. I accept the false alarm for what it is. I am triggered by this. I am triggered by that. I'm triggered by this thought or whatever. You know, I accept it. And no amount of thinking is going to help in this situation. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to let it play out. My body and mind will eventually learn that all is well, and I'll be laughing about this later. And that's what true acceptance really is. It's all about breaking that really, really bad habit of worry, really is what it comes down to. But yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying the videos. I'm glad you finally got to catch a live stream. What's up, Wonder Bro? Long time no see. Hey, what is up, dude? It's been a minute. Welcome to the chill part of the stream where we're just hanging out with chatting it up. Hope you're doing well, my guy. Hope you're doing well. Having a lazy day at home sounds nice. What'd I do today exactly? Woke up, weed eated a little bit, raked some dead leaves. That's pretty much it. I got a late start to my day.
Donation.
Ooh, okay, that one got me a little bit. Not gonna lie, I was zoned off there for a minute. That one got me a little bit. Lucy, Thank you so much, Lucy, for the $20 tip. That puts us at tip goal. Thank you so much, Lucy. We are moving on to a 130-day streak. I accidentally messed that up. There we go. Fixed it. All good. Lucy, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Can we show some love in the chat to our tippers today? Kate, Sanchez, and Lucy, thank you guys so much. Thank you, thank you. 130-day streak means the world to me, guys. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. I'm worried now that this is depression. Well, you can see the second fear route that you're starting to go down, right? You can see that at least. So you can see that the worry. So here's a good example of everything that we've been saying. Worried that this might be depression. Well, the worry is not going to take it away, right? So the worry is not going to do anything to solve quote unquote depression or anxiety. It's not going to do anything to change the experience, right? It has no power to change the experience, any of that worry. What it will do is stress you the hell out, right? And see, so that's where people are kind of like out of miscommunication with themselves. They think that the worry serves a purpose when actually the worry is the root of the problem, right? Does that make sense? My pleasure. Have to keep the streak going. Thank you so much, Lucy. Thank you, thank you. Show some love in the chat to our tippers, guys. It only takes a second. Good man had a panic attack the other day for the first time in a long time, but I was able to relax, accept, and not add second fear. I will always remember your teachings. Thank you for everything. That means the world to me. I'm so glad that you are retaining the information that you have learned and still applying it. That is amazing. Happy to help, dude. Happy to help. It's that one little thing that people tend to have backwards, right? And of course, obviously, I'm guilty of that too, or I would have never ended up sensitized to begin with. But it's that one little thing that people have backwards, is that their worry is needed in order to avoid something. But when in reality, the worry is the root of the problem for why they feel so crappy and why things just seem to get fueled and why it just seems to be worse than it needs to be. You know, so they're using their mind to do the worry out of the false belief that it's going to accomplish something when really it is the root of the entire problem. It's very backwards, very backwards. But yes, thank you guys so much, Sanchez, Kate, and Lucy. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for helping keep the show on the road and supporting me and the channel. I do appreciate it. I don't know what I'd do without you guys. You're amazing. Thank you, thank you. Let's go to, hold on a second. There we go. I think that also comes down to a lot of people falsely believe that unless they fight off those certain thoughts or feelings or situations that triggering them, it will never stop triggering them, which just isn't true. You'll eventually teach your brain that the trigger's not needed and it'll go away on its own. So people do a lot of fighting to make the trigger go away, when actually if you just didn't fight the trigger, it would go away on its own, right? The brain would learn. So that's another big part of the process that a lot of people get kind of stuck on. There is nothing you need to do to make a trigger go away except face it. In time, your brain will learn. You don't have to problem solve. You don't have to do anything to get around it or avoid it or obsess or worry about it. None of that is needed. Alright, beautiful people, we have our song upcoming. We're going to go ahead and shut it down here. We're about 10 past that hour mark. Chat's starting to slow down. I think this is a good point to kind of wrap it up. So I want to say thank you, first and foremost, to all of you beautiful people for watching and supporting the channel. I really appreciate it. I don't think there's anything else I really need to talk about. I think that's pretty much it. I love you guys. Thank you again so much. I hope you all have an amazing, fantastic day or night, whatever time you're watching. And until next time, guys, as always, stay awesome.
Did it die? I'm a stone cold killer, I'm a billionaire. I got my own gold digger. If I wasn't this way, I'd rather die. Did it die? Wait. Did it die? Wait. Did it die? Whatever you want, I'll be whatever you want. Just tell me you love me or not, whatever it costs. I know I'm talking a lot, there's something I gotta get off. Don't wanna be this no more, I don't wanna drink no more. Always gotta do the most, thinking that I'm insecure. Really should've listened more, but I don't, of course. I'm an asshole, I'm a good guy, I'm your best friend, I'm the worst type. Tell you everything that you heard right, just so I can fuck on the first night. Feel like I'm losing hope, running from coast to coast. I don't know where to go, this all I've ever known. I'm a stone cold killer, I'm a billionaire. I got my own gold digger. If I wasn't this way, I'd rather die. No, did it die? Wait. Did it die? Wait. Did it die? I'm a stone cold killer, I'm a billionaire. I got my own gold digger. If I wasn't this way, I'd rather die. Won't die. Did it die? Wait. Did it die? Wait. Did it die? My aunt think I'm perfect, I know I'm not. My mama be worried, I told her stop. They know I did drugs and think that I'm off. Little do they know I never could stop. My manager hate when I'm pulling up late. Back on my bullshit, she think it's a phase. I got relations I gotta maintain. I'm two different people, my side and my main. Yeah, I'm sober, I'm an addict, I'm a lowlife, I got habits, but I refuse to be average. Really so tired of acting, don't know what I miss no more. Too bad you don't hit me more. I'm bad when I get too bored, careful what you wishing for. I'm a stone cold killer, I'm